Welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about the basics of Cloud Foundry from the perspective of a developer who is going to push an application onto the platform. I'm Ruurd, this is Chris, and let's start with the developers. They have some code that they want to push onto the platform with the cf push command from Cloud Foundry. So Chris, how does it work inside Cloud Foundry?
So the first thing that happens is that cf push contacts the API to upload the code, create an app entry for the application, and the code is then stored inside the platform. And then the first thing that will happen is that the process will kick off, and we call this process a build pack. The build pack will detect what kind of code it is. So it could be Golang code, it could be Java, maybe Node.js, it could be anything really. The build pack will detect what it is, and then it will run the right process to create a container image for the code you just pushed. And then that container image is stored inside the platform in what we call a blob store. So this process creates a container image and stores it right there. When we have that container image, we are ready to run the process. So Ruurd, how many images, how many instances do you want to run?
Let's start with, say, 3.
3. All right. So the platform will start the application, process number 2, and what will happen is that the container image will be copied to the container platform. And then inside the container platform, containers will be spun up.
So this container platform, that's like Kubernetes?
Well, it's similar to Kubernetes, but if you integrate it with the Cloud Foundry platform, you get a whole lot more. So in Kubernetes, you have to take care of your own networking, your own load balancing, all that kind of stuff. With Cloud Foundry, you get everything for free, basically. The developer just pushes the app, and the platform takes care of building the image, so no Dockerfile things for the developer. It also takes care of the load balancing towards the different container instances, and it also takes care of DNS for you.
So how does that work? How do my end users reach the application container instances?
Well, if a user wants to actually log on to one of the apps running in the containers, they need to go through what we call a routing layer. So inside the platform, we have a router, and users are going to access your app, and they do that by contacting the router, and the router will route them through to the right container image. And that's the process that's running.
So can you say a little bit more about how the DNS works?
Sure. So let's say your app is called app1. We have a DNS entry called app1 for the domain, let's say domain.com. But actually in DNS, we have a different registration. So we don't register app1 in DNS. What we register in DNS is a wildcard. So we have a wildcard.domain.com. So whenever a user contacts any application in this domain, in domain.com, it will always be directed towards the router, and the router will detect which app you are going to access, in this case app number 1. And the router knows which containers are part of app1, and so it can route it towards the right container in the right port.
Okay. As a developer, I like to think that I always write bug-free code, but what would happen if one of the container instances dies because of the underlying infrastructure failure or whatever?
Yeah, sure. So if one of your containers might stop unexpectedly, so let's say this one stops. So what happens is that Cloud Foundry detects this failure, and it will just start a new one for you. So you configure 3 containers, and Cloud Foundry will also make sure that you always have 3 containers.
And that new one is also automatically load balanced and DNS? Okay.
Yeah, as soon as it comes up, it's advertised towards the router, so users can then be load balanced towards that application. Yes.
And can you say a little bit about how this plays with the infrastructure we're used to?
Yeah. The platform itself consists of quite a few virtual machines which run on IaaS. This IaaS can be anything. It can be Google Cloud, can be vSphere, can be AWS. So in the end, your application is running as a container inside a virtual machine on top of an infrastructure as a service.
Okay, I think that was a great basics of Cloud Foundry from the developer side overview. Thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, please contact us. And yeah, that's it.
See you in the next video.